Internet, Eric here. Back with a movie review. I mentioned that I'm also on the channel Whitey the White Guy. Mentioned it 100 million fucking times. Um, so I have reviewed this film that I'm going to review now for my channel on his channel. So, I'll put the link in the description. You can see what me and him thought about it. But I recently bought this on Amazon. Bought it real cheap. This is probably the third time I've watched it, so spoilers, quote unquote. You probably know I really enjoy it if I've watched it 3 fucking times. And speaking of spoilers, if you're new to my channel, welcome. I do have spoilers in my reviews when I discuss the films, but today I'm talking about the wonderful movie Paul. Now, Paul came out. Now, there's 2 dates here. It says 2010 and 2011. According to Wikipedia, this came out in 2011, I believe. So, but Paul stars Simon Pegg, Nick Frost from Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead fame. The voice of Seth Rogen is Paul. We also have Sigourney Weaver, Kristen Wiig, Jason Bateman, Joe Latrulio. Not a big fan of him. Bill Hader, Blythe Danner, directed by Greg Mottola, who was the director of Superbad, and I fucking love Superbad. Basic plot is Simon Pegg and Nick Frost are 2 fanboys from England, and this is their first trip to America, and they're at the San Diego Comic-Con. And Nick Frost is a wannabe author, sci-fi author, and Simon Pegg is, a wannabe artist. And after they leave San Diego Comic-Con, they're going to all the different known, famous sightings for UFO encounters. Eventually make it to Area 51, blah, 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 blah. Well, as they're leaving one location, it's like a wrong place, wrong time, where they witness a severe car crash, and they find out the driver of the car was this little alien guy who's named Paul. The reason why he's named Paul was in the very, very beginning, his spaceship sadly crash landed on a dog named Paul. But anyways, the rest of the film becomes a road trip film of Simon and Nick trying to get Paul back to like a rendezvous point, so he can be, so he can go home. Along the way, they are being chased by Jason Bateman, Joe Latrulio, and Bill Hader, who are working for the government. And I don't know if it's like the Alien Task Force or whatever it is specifically. And their boss is wonderfully played by Sigourney Weaver. And it's what I love here, that Sigourney's in this film. I love that, she's known for the Alien franchise. And there she was battling the aliens, and here she's also trying to capture an alien. And it's really, really cool. Along the way, they meet Kristen Wiig and her father. Her father was played by, I believe, John Carroll Lynch. He pops up everywhere. Last thing I knew, he was recently in The Walking Dead. He is the man that trained Morgan. And he also played Twisty in American Horror Story Freak Show. But anyways, they meet up with Kristen Wiig and her father, and they are like super big Bible thumpers, And what's really cool is Kristen Wiig eventually joins the group, and her and Paul kind of go at it because she believes, Christianity and God and all this, and he believes in evolution and says, it's true. So they go back and forth, and it's really, really fun. And eventually, they get Paul home. And that's it. I absolutely had a blast with this film. I'm not a huge Seth Rogen fan. I mean, later films, like when he's just literally playing the stoner. I enjoyed him a lot in Superbad, and I enjoy him a lot in this, because Paul is such a likable character. He's so good. It's not typical Seth Rogen. He's not out just to drink and, to get high smoking weed. There is one scene where they're all around a campfire, and Paul smokes a joint, and he gives it to Kristen Wiig, and of course she's never done anything like that. She smokes a joint, and, she goes a little paranoid and gets the munchies and passes out. So he wasn't a stoner ad nauseum. But Paul is a likable character. He's like your buddy, and he fit perfectly in with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. You could tell that basically he would have been one of their friends, but he was just a fucking alien. And the special effects on Paul are fantastic. It was basically seamless. I mean, he looks just like, the stereotypical Area 51 1950s alien that we've seen before. But the CGI is so seamless, it looks like Simon and Nick are working with someone there. I watched some bonus features, and Seth Rogen was in like a motion capture suit. He wasn't on set, but it was a motion capture suit with him doing movements, and he had it all over his face. So like when he's talking, that's when Paul's talking, that's really Seth Rogen's responses. But yeah, when like they're interacting with him, like Paul talking to them, Paul jumping on them lifting Paul up. It doesn't look like that. There's nothing there. So props to the CGI guys. Nick Frost and Simon Pegg. They wrote this, I believe. Yes, they wrote this, and they are fanboys in real life, so they know their stuff. And of course, here again, they show their wonderful chemistry with each other that you've seen in Shaun of the Dead and Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. All those films. And it's cool because there's a lot of references here. It's not ad nauseum. There is couple wonderful Close Encounters of the Third Kind references. There's a scene where Paul talks about how he's influenced a lot of pop culture. And one time, there's a flashback where he's literally on an intercom talking to Steven Spielberg and giving him the inspiration for E.T. And it's cool because that was really Steven Spielberg's voice on the other end. But there's so many references. There's a scene where they're at like a bar, and when they walk in the bar, the band in the background, they're a bluegrass band, but they're playing the theme song from like the Mos Eisley Cantina from Star Wars. So much fun. And I'm not going to lie, eventually, I mentioned in the very beginning, Paul crash landed, sadly killing a dog in the beginning. And we find out that that dog belonged to a little girl. And that little girl saved Paul from the wreckage. But her life became a living hell because Paul was taken away by the government. And that girl was constantly teased, thought to be a crazy person, blah, blah, blah. And she grew up. And she's played by Blythe Danner, her adult form. And eventually, Paul meets up with her again. She tells her story, and it's such a sad story, such a moving scene, and it really gets you. I mean, Blythe Danner. I've never seen her in anything. I did her IMDb, and I haven't seen her in anything else. But her portrayal here is so frail and vulnerable, and really well done. But what I was saying is, when she eventually joins the group, and they are found by Sigourney Weaver. Sigourney's beating the shit out of everybody trying to get Paul. And I'm not going to lie, I cheered out loud twice because I rewound it. When Blythe Danner does the "get away from her, you bitch" line that's from Aliens and punches Sigourney right in the fucking face, I cheered so much. It's so great. One of my favorite scenes. See, I mentioned that scene with Blythe Danner. I love how this film goes from comedy to some serious stuff. I mean, that scene where Paul and Blythe are talking, it pulls at your heartstrings a little bit. Because Paul did not feel that she deserved this. He's truly, truly sorry that her life, became this joke, became nothing but harassment and all that. So there is some downsides here, and my main downside to this I love Bill Hader. He's like the straight man, of working under Sigourney Weaver trying to catch Paul. Jason Bateman is great in his role, as the Secret Service agent. I mentioned Sigourney Weaver. Sigourney Weaver is very intimidating here. You don't really see her, physically until the very end. You hear her over the intercom. You see her hands, moving stuff around. Pushing the intercom button, stuff like that. Kind of like Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget. But the downside here is Bill Hader is partnered with Joe Latrulio. And Joe Latrulio is in Superbad. He's the one that accidentally runs over Jonah Hill, and he takes him to the party. And he was okay there. But here, if you've seen it, like my Halloween 5 review, I talk about how I hate when they have authority figures, like be it cops or FBI agents or what have you, and they make them retarded. And retarded as in like really, really dumb and stupid. Joe Latrulio here is so fucking retarded, it's pathetic. I hate when they make it seem like they're so dumb that they can't take care of themselves when they live at home. Kind of like Chris Hemsworth in the Ghostbusters reboot. Being dumb is one thing, but they make him so stupid that there's no way this man would survive on his own. And that's Joe Latrulio here. I know he's made for laughs, but it's just overkill, and I just cannot stand him in this film. But Bill Hader is so good, especially when he's with Joe, it kind of cancels it out. So it is worth watching. It's a great road trip film. I love watching Simon Pegg and Nick Frost going from place to place, and then they pick up Paul. One of my favorite scenes is when they go to a comic book store and they have Paul dressed up as like a cowboy because they're trying to disguise him, have him walking down the street. It kind of reminded me of E.T. with them dressing up E.T. as like under the ghost costume and having him walk around on Halloween. Lots of E.T. references. The very end, when Paul's flying away on a spaceship, that is straight out of fucking E.T. The music, the lights flashing on all the humans, the wind blowing in their hair, the emotional impact of it, really, really good. God, this is such a smart film. If you are a sci-fi film buff, especially sci-fi films of the 80s and late 70s, like I said, Close Encounters, E.T., Aliens, Star Wars, you're going to get the references here. And like I said, every character other than Joe Latrulio is likable. So much fun. I love Kristen Wiig's character here. I love how she's been so repressed, living with her father, that everything's a sin. You can't do this. You can't have sex. You can't swear. She has this little thing where she's trying to learn to swear. And, eventually, she starts out just saying, butt and boobs and ass and stuff like that. And in the end, she, calls people, cunts and, shit brain, stuff like that. It reminded me of Sandra Bullock in Demolition Man, how she would try to say an insult, but she'd get it wrong, and they'd have to correct her. And they did that a lot in this film, and it was fun. She's very likable. She's very sweet. I love the budding romance between her and Simon Pegg's character. I mean, he's so nervous around her. She's nervous around him, but it's not pathetic. It's actually very, very sweet. And again, I always talk about, when there's a relationship or a would-be relationship in a film, you need that chemistry. Because, think of it this way. Terminator Genesis. We have Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor. Now, Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor eventually have sex. They give birth to John Connor. And they have sex because they fall in love. They fell in love after, Kyle taking care of Sarah, protecting her from the Terminator. Well, in Terminator Genesis, what's his name? Jai Courtney and Emilia Clarke, who plays Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor. In my opinion, they had no fucking chemistry in that film, so it just took me out. I didn't believe the relationship. I believe the loving relationship here with Kristen Wiig and Simon Pegg. Very sweet, very innocent, very awkward, very funny. Loved it. Perfect. Everything in this film is great. I love what happens, I won't spoil it, with Jason Bateman's character. I did not see that coming, and I truly, truly enjoyed it. I love Jason Bateman in this film. I haven't seen Jason Bateman in a lot. He kind of had a resurgence with Arrested Development. Honestly, the only thing I'd seen him in before this, because I've never seen Arrested Development, was like Teen Wolf 2 and The Hogan Family. And then I've seen a couple chick flicks, since then. But he's great here. Love him. Very likable guy. Just doing his job. Doing what needs to be done. Yeah, once again, like I said, Paul, if you're a fan of comedies, fan of road trip movies, fan of sci-fi comedies, fan of sci-fi in general, check out Paul. I don't think you'll be disappointed. It's fun catching out the references, but the references aren't ad nauseum. They're not thrown in your face. They're just little things. Oh wow, holy shit, that's the Star Wars Cantina theme. Wow, that's from Close Encounters of the Third Time. And holy shit, get away from her, you bitch. Best line of the fucking movie. Yeah. I don't know what else I can say. Like I said, I can't praise this film enough. Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, they're fantastic on screen together. They're fantastic writing films together. This proves it here. Once again, Greg Matola, you hit it out of the park with Superbad. You hit it out of the park with Paul. And, yeah, seriously cannot recommend this film enough. What the fuck is her name? What the fuck is her name? Jane something. I don't know. I'll put it in the subtitles. One of my favorite scenes is when... Here, I'll see if I can get it on my phone while I'm talking. Yeah, I don't do fucking research here. I'll do the glare over here. One of my favorite scenes is when Pegg and Nick Frost, they stop at a diner, and it's all alien themed, and they meet this waitress who is played by Jane Lynch. That's it. And she plays, she plays a very likable waitress behind the counter. She's very sweet to the boys. I mean, she works in fucking Roswell or whatever. She's used to this shit. And she, she's very sweet to them. She tells them what's going on, where to go see, the best alien stuff. And just her rapport with the two guys is fantastic. Great scene. Loved it so much. But I want to throw that scene out there. Jane Lynch. What the fuck? She's in a lot of, she's in, I think, Knocked Up. She's done a lot of Seth Rogen stuff. So, in the end, like I said, go see Paul right now. Like I said, you can get it on Amazon for like $5. It's worth more than $5, trust me. Yeah, so thank you for watching my video. Please go check out Paul. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Like I said, this is my third time watching it, and I still have a blast every time. Has not lost any of its luster. If you liked this video, thank you. I appreciate it. Please check out my other stuff. I got a lot of stuff. I got movie reviews, movies where I defend the movies, vlogs, cartoon commentaries. Just go to my playlist. You'll check it out. Please like, please subscribe, please tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell Uncle Bob. Terminator 2 reference. And yeah, in the end, I will say cheers. And I don't know how to end this video, so I'm just going to say, go check out Paul. Take care.